Eagles fans, we are 1 day removed from our divisional round matchup against the Rams. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it.
Fasten your seatbelts for the realest Eagles and Sixers YouTube man! One who plays no clickbait and gets to the point. The myth, the legend, Nicky Steves! Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. I'm simply statue thinking, slate, dropping unrealistic magic. Who can takes for the clip? Even though cats like that get views closer to the millie. Never hear me preach, slip on to Philly. Before you watch the Eagles all the way through the early 22. Authentic talk, forget what others do. Come to my channel, you know the deal. Yo, boy, always keeps things real. The 24/7, 365 way. Sports content for the reals that feel the day.
Hello, folks. Hope you're having a great start to your weekend. It's your boy Nicky Steves here. We here to talk about the divisional round between the Eagles and the Rams. If you're wondering what this is on my head, that's a poor man's draw up of the Eagles logo in prep to get in the spirit for this game. Talk about this divisional round matchup against the Rams. And the way things are looking right now, it's looking like this is the perfect matchup for the Eagles. And the Eagles now are favorites -6 points versus the Rams. And the reason why is because there's 1 to 3 inches of snow expected, which further puts the odds in favor of the Eagles because the Eagles are already on paper the better team against the Rams. Before the snow even happened, I'm looking at this matchup. I'm confident in us being the Rams for several reasons. This is before the snow got factored in. Number one reason, we beat them during the regular season already. Number two, we have the better all-around roster than the Rams. Those are the two main reasons I was confident in the Eagles before the snow. Now you add the snow to it, the cold weather element, something the Eagles are more familiar with than the Rams. I like where this is going. I like the odds and the expectations. Now, because they take a team like the Rams who plays in California, but plays indoors in a dome. They're not used to the outdoors. So you force the Rams to adjust to an environment they're not familiar with. And granted, last week you took them away from home. They had to play in Arizona, the stadium of division rival. However, that was at a somewhat neutral site. And it was indoors in a dome against the Vikings. Where at this time around, the Rams would have to travel to Philly and play the Eagles outdoors in the freezing cold. In the freezing cold with the snow, which stacks the odds further in favor of the Eagles. So I like the odds and the expectations for this matchup right here. So this is looking good for us. So I think Eagles got a good chance in this one. Now, especially that it's in the snow, so I'm looking forward to this. But we've still got the game to be played. We still got to talk about the key matchups and what's going to happen from there. So first, we're going to start off by going through the depth charts because both teams are relatively healthy. Now, the biggest thing though, is the loss in the Kobe Dean, which you'll talk about that in just a minute. But we're gonna take a look at the depth charts, see where both teams stand in this one. So we look at this on the offensive side of the ball, no major injury. Jack Driscoll, Britton Covey we dealt with, but other than that, Goddard healthy. Devontae, AJ, Saquon, Hurts, all gonna play. On the defensive side of the ball, the biggest one is Nakobe Dean's out for the playoffs. Means Orion Burke set to get the start, and Trotter Jr. expected to get more playing time. Now, with Trotter Jr., last week, to his credit, he had a big play in that divisional round matchup. Sorry, that wild card matchup. He recovered the fumble, which set up the Eagles' opening score against the Packers last week. So that was big right there. That was a good move right there for the Eagles. That was good right there. So the Eagles took advantage of that matchup. Because the Jeremiah Trotter Jr. had himself a nice play. So he's been productive in the special teams, but how will that correlate if he gets more playing time? But most importantly, how does Orion Burks do? Let's take a look at him real quick. Let's take a look what he's done this season. So he hasn't really played much. So throughout the regular season, I mean, he's gotten some time. He's had 41 tackles, 20 sold, 21, but now he's going to be stepping up in the starting role. That's going to be a much bigger deal than Nakobe Dean. Now, if we look outside of that, we still got the rest of our guys healthy. We still got Cooper DeJean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Darius Slay Jr., Quinyon Mitchell, all those guys healthy, which is what we need. We need those guys healthy, especially being that this is a divisional matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams, or a divisional round matchup versus the Los Angeles Rams, a team with two of the top receivers in the game, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, have 1-2 duo. So that's where we stand with our depth chart. Now, a quick look at the Rams depth chart real quickly, because the Rams, let's take a look at the Rams depth chart real quick. So the Rams, for the most part, look at them on offense. They're mostly healthy for the most part. The only missing pieces, you got Alric Jackson's questionable left tackle, Connor McDermott on IR. And you look at the defense, you got Bobby Brown III's questionable, Akil Witherspoon questionable. And the Rams have most of their stars. You got Jared Verse, the rookie, who's been sensational for them. He's starting in this one. You got Kobe Durant, who recorded the interception. You got Jalen McCollum, who got 4 interceptions throughout the season, leading the way for the Rams. So the Rams, Eagles are relatively healthy coming into this matchup where the depth charts stand. The only noticeable thing is Nakobe Dean being out. And for those that are just coming in, we're doing this live on my channel. There's the link to it if you haven't subbed up yet. And the Hardcore Sports Network, as always. If you're wondering what's on my head, that's a poor man's cut up the Eagles logo. But yeah, so here we're doing this live both on Nicky Steve's and the Hardcore Sports Network channels. So do it. But yeah, tomorrow. So yeah, both teams are relatively healthy in this one. Now we also going to talk about the key player matchups in just one moment. We'll be right back in a moment, and we'll talk about the key matchups. We'll be right back in just. Alrighty, folks, I'm right back after that quick break. And now we're here to talk about some. While we are the odd favorites, minus 6.5 points. I'm gonna, while everything's expected to go our way, we still have to ultimately play the game to see what happens. Though Eagles still got to go on the field and take care of business, which I'm expecting them to, but they still got to get it done. And Grant, yeah, I'm expecting the Eagles to go out there, take care of business, defeat the Los Angeles Rams. But then take care. I'm expecting them to go out there, defeat the Los Angeles Rams, get their win, and move on, play the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. That's my expectations, but we still got to ultimately get it done. And first, we got to talk about the key player matchups first headed into this battle, because it's key player and position battle matchups, to be fair. And that's what it is. So we got the key player and position matchups. These are the key, that we gotta win in order to get this W. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. The first one in this one is Saquon Barkley versus the Rams run defense. And I start with that one because that was the key battle last time when we played them back in week 12. When Saquon Barkley just had a field day, decimated the Rams defense run game for a highlight day. Remember, he had 270 plus yarders for touchdowns, and he was just on fire. Nobody could stop Saquon on the Rams that week. And even throughout the season, the Rams ended up finishing the regular season with the number 22nd ranked run defense, and were 26 in yards per attempt on defense, giving up an average of 4.6 per run. That's where the Rams stood, and we decimated them in that regular season matchup. And that'll be another key battle in this one. We've seen it all throughout the season, and we even saw it last week. Saquon Barkley being on point was one of the key factors in that game So it's important that we do the same thing again here against this Rams run defense. Now, granted, I do feel like the Rams are going to be a little bit more prepared. They'll definitely draw up a different strategy to attempt to shut down Saquon. However, that doesn't mean it's actually going to happen, though, folks. Saquon Barkley's still got to get it done. Now, the Rams, like I said, though, they've struggled all year against the run game. So the odds of them doing so here in the playoffs against Saquon, I don't see that happening. So that's a favorable matchup for the Eagles. One of the key matchups they must win that I believe they will win and give them the best shot at winning this game. Because like I said, all season long, the Rams have struggled against the run. And we already exploited the flaws in their run defense when we played them earlier in the season, back in week 12 in LA. And now here we are turning around at home with snowy weather, with the weather conditions in our favor. I see the same happening here. Now, granted, to be fair, the snow could possibly have an effect on the Eagles' run game as well. I'm not disputing that won't be the case. I think that it most certainly could. So I think personally, hey, this could work out in our favor. So I got the Eagles here taking care of business. So I got the Eagles taking care of that matchup, though. But Saquon should do good against them. Now, the snow, it could slow it down a little bit. But even then, if Saquon, let's say he gets over 100 yards. He doesn't have like those two big 70-yarders, but he still gets over 100 yards. That can still help us out. And not to mention, on top of it, you have Jalen Hurts' mobility could help out too. You got Earl Cole and good luck, Eagles. Earl, thanks for stopping by, showing your support. Greatly appreciated. And like I said, and you mostly got the dual threat QB of Jalen Hurts. He can make some plays on the ground too. So you got Saquon and Hurts on the ground game. And we saw with Josh, even in the snow. Take a look at Buffalo versus San Fran in the snow. Josh Allen ran all over the Rams with his feet and had an amazing touchdown, had several other key runs in that game, which also goes to show the snow doesn't necessarily slow down players either. Now, so we'll be interested to see how the snow affects it, but I feel like it'll lean in our favor. And we should be able to beat them again off the ground battle, even if it's not a 2+ 70 yarders, the same amazing performance Saquon had in week 12. It should still be good enough against that Rams run defense, which has struggled all season. Now you're expecting them to adjust to the snow. I don't think that's going to work in their favor. Then the other key battle in this one is AJ Brown versus the Rams secondary. Now, last week, the Rams secondary had themselves a respectable game. They got an INT against Sam Darnold, and the defensive line got 9 sacks. But that was also against a Minnesota Vikings team playing a Sam Darnold who looked nervous. Stepping back on that game just for 1 second. You could see in the Rams' performance last week, they had Sam Darnold dialed in. He looked nervous from the start. He looked like he was out of his element, playing in a big pressure playoff game. I saw it when he was walking out of the tunnel. I could just sense that feeling of, Darnold looks nervous. This might be a long night for the Vikings. And guess what? It was. Now, for Jalen Hurts, I don't see that happening here. So I'm going to switch real quickly. The Rams defensive line versus the Eagles offensive line. I don't see the Eagles giving up 9 sacks at all. No, because number one, Jalen Hurts has been in this situation before. Let's not forget. Don't look at the playoff performance last year against the Bucs. Yes, while that was a poor game by Hurts and the team as a whole, remember the 2022 season. We got to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played one of his best games in that Super Bowl when we fell short. So Jalen Hurts knows how to play in playoff situations before. He knows how to. He's not Sam Darnold in his first ever playoff start with all the pressure in the world on his shoulder in the biggest game of his career. This game is a walk in the park stake-wise compared to Jalen Hurts having to start in Super Bowl 57. He's already played this is not going to be the biggest game of his career, so he doesn't have that same pressure. Jalen Hurts has dealt with these type of situations before. That's the difference here. He knows, and plus he's more versatile than Darnold, so he can get rid of the ball quicker. He can make plays with his feet. That's the biggest difference. And not to mention, you got this Eagles offensive line. Cam Jurgens, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson. You got a potent offensive line here that we trust with the Eagles. So that Rams defensive line versus the Eagles offensive line, that's going in favor of the Eagles O-line. Maybe the Rams might get to Hurts a couple times, but I don't see them getting to him all game like they did last time against the Vikings. That's not going to happen. Not this time. I got that matchup in favor of the Eagles. Now returning to the other key battle, AJ Brown versus the Rams secondary. It'll be interesting to see AJ Brown in the snow because we haven't really seen the Eagles play in the snow before. It'll be interesting to see how this goes in favor of the Philadelphia. It'll be interesting to see because the Eagles, we're not used to seeing them in the snow, but they're used to the colder weather, whereas the Rams are used to playing in a dome out in California. I feel like the Eagles adjust that. But the key battle here is A.J. Brown versus the Rams receivers. Now, last week, A.J. didn't get active much on the offense. He only had 1 reception. But that was just one game. This time around, it could be a different story. Jay Brown, remember he was questionable going into last week's game. But this game, on the depth chart, as I showed earlier, there's no question marks surrounding him. He's fully ready to go. I feel like A.J. Brown can have himself a good performance against his Rams secondary. He did so already. And, you can utilize him to his strengths, whether it be in screen passes, deep balls, short yard situations. Now, Grant, maybe if in the snow, you might have to go, especially depending on the wind, you might have to go run some screen passes for A.J. to get the job done. But, hey, you feel like A.J. Brown can get the job done, and he can make it work. So that's another key matchup right there. I got that going in favor of the Eagles. So far, I got 3 of the most important battles going in favor of the Eagles. Then the other one, though, is the Eagles secondary versus Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. Now, the Eagles defense did great against Jordan Love last week, but you're also talking about a Jordan Love that was less than 100%. That doesn't have much big game experience versus Matthew Stafford, who started in a Super Bowl, who's been to the playoffs numerous times in his career. He's going up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks. Appreciate the support. Yep. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're having a great afternoon. Try to stay warm out there, Blaze, because I know the cold affects your sinuses, but whatever you do, try to stay safe and stay warm, brother. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you're enjoying this. Like I said, now we got Darius Slade Jr., Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship. Different guys you could potentially match up against Nakua and Cup. With that being said, though, even though we got strong guys in the secondary, Nakua and Cup, we saw the one highlight for the Rams in that Week 12 matchup was those guys. So we could see them maybe rattle off a few good rattle off a few decent performance here. Time will tell, though. We will see. But with that being said, though, yeah, that might be the one position battle that might go in favor of the Rams. The Rams might be able to do some damage, score some points with Nakua and Cup, even in the snow. But with these guys who aren't used to playing in the snow, we'll see if their game is on. It'll be an interesting question because how do you run those for players that aren't used to playing in the snow? It's going to be tough running routes, especially doing slant routes. You know, you're running in snow, which you're not used to. So we'll have to see how that has effect too. So maybe the snow could work in our advantage in that matchup, but that's all speculation. Time will tell. But even then, I do think this is the one key matchup that the Rams could have our number on. So out of all the key position matchups that I just position and player matchups that I listed, I feel like Nakua and Cup versus the Eagles secondary is the one matchup that benefits the Rams. And you got the Eagles defensive line versus the Rams offensive line. I still got to lean in favor of our defensive line. If we got our guys playing, Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, all those guys, those guys are playing, they're healthy. We should have a good time, and we should be good in that one. Only thing is the absence of Nakobe Dean. How does that work out in the middle of the field, in the run game, in the blitz, the passing game? That's going to be interesting to see. But overall, man, as a whole, I'm leaning toward the Eagles in this one. But now without saying said, went through all the key player matchup. Now I'm going to briefly go over the keys to victory. So Philadelphia Eagles, keys to victories versus the Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be kind of brief because we mostly went through it. Number one, dominate the run game between Saquon and Jalen Hurts. Like I said, we dominated them last time. They struggle against the run. Take advantage of that matchup. Use it to your advantage. Another key to victory, don't let the Rams defensive line get to Hurts. I don't think they're going to do so, but just the fact that the Rams got 9 sacks means that this team, this defensive line, if we underestimate them, could do some damage and could get to the QB a few times. So let's not let that happen. We have a better offensive line. We have a quarterback who's better under pressure than Sam Darnold. You take advantage of that and don't let the Rams get to us. Number 2. Number 3, minimize Nakua and Cup's efficiency. Number 4, try to get 1 or 2 turnovers. Utilize that towards our advantage. Next key, don't turn the ball over. Most importantly, control time. Well, the last one, maybe not most important, but last one, control time of possession. Those are my keys to victory right there. If you guys in the live chat want to comment, give me your keys to victory, you guys are more than welcome to do so. I'll be glad to read them off and greatly appreciate it. And with that being said, now it's score prediction time. Or prediction time. In this one, I'm going to go 24-14 Eagles. And the reason why is I'm thinking the snow might play a factor in this one. The Eagle, I don't know how, the snow might play a factor in this one because the Eagles haven't played in the snow a lot, but the Rams are used to the warm weather. So I think the Eagles, maybe, I don't know if they're going to go over 30 points like they did last time, but they should be able to outscore the Rams in these type of conditions. Plus, they have the better all-around roster, and we laid the blueprint on how to beat them week 12. So I feel like we can capitalize off our strong run game, our better roster, and use the favorable weather to our advantage to get the win in this one. You guys can give me your score predictions if you want. That being said, thanks to everyone that stopped by. I hope you're having a great start to your Saturday, or if you're catching this on the replay, I hope you had a great Saturday. I'm doing this live on the Nikki Stees channel. There's a link to sub it up if you haven't done so yet. And the Hardcore Sports Network, there's a link to sub it up if you haven't done so yet. So with that being said, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this stream. And until next time, it's your boy Nikki Stees signing off. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens first. Then I'll be back to talk about it later and give my thoughts after the game. So what I'm going to say is fly, Eagles, fly. Let's get this dub. Let's set up an NFC Championship matchup. And let's go from there, guys. That being said, have a wonderful day. Until next time, it's your boy signing off. Peace.